Serena, a girl without dreams who finally found a dream and ascended to a meaningful life. Let's talk about Serena's backstory, Serena's transformation, Serena's purpose, and how to find your purpose. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? I hope you've enjoyed Misty's backstory and the Rocket backstories before that, and I hope you also enjoyed our discussion of the need for a mature Pokemon anime and our chit-chat on other anime that Pokemon fans should definitely check out. But today it is time to discuss Serena's backstory, her search for a purpose in life, the catalyst that set everything in motion, and how we can shake things up and get moving towards greatness ourselves. And as always, it will be a fun time, so kindly request your Machoke to cross-chop that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe for all the pseudo-woodos you can handle, and let's jump right in. The fabled Pokemon XY anime begins with a young girl given a rude awakening by her mother's fletchling. A girl who is the daughter of a seasoned Rhyhorn racer, and a girl who seems to be following in her mother's footsteps despite having no interest in doing so. The problem is, she doesn't even have a hint of her own dream to build her own life around. To live without passion or purpose, following a course that someone else plotted out for you, what a drag. However, everything changes for this young girl when one day, on the news, she sees a courageous young boy putting his life on the line to soothe a run-amok Garchomp atop Prism Tower. In fact, she recognizes the boy, village wildman Ash Ketchum, and memories of a time long past come flooding back to fill an ocean across which she will set sail to a life of real meaning. Yes, I just said that. Going back, it was a hot summer day at Professor Oak's Pokemon camp in Kanto, when a young girl attending the camp got lost in the woods, got scared by a scary Poliwag, and fell to the ground, injuring her leg. But just as our friend Chloe was more recently rescued by a friend who would play a role in her future, it was then that a young boy full of spirit, rumbling through the woods in search of Pokemon, came across the girl and was quick to run to her aid. He bandaged her up with his handkerchief, said some words to cheer her up, and yet, still, she couldn't get up. After all, it really hurt. Never give up, he told her, and hoisted her to her feet. And he held her hand to keep her steady as they walked out of the woods together. As we know, the memory of this account inspired the girl so fiercely that here and now, years later, after learning his whereabouts on TV, she went flying out the door on an adventure to find that very special boy, to return his handkerchief that she had kept all these years, and to see where the wind would take her. And so began Serena's adventure to find her dream, her passion, her purpose, and to live life to its fullest. Of course, at this point, she had yet to develop her own tangible dream worth pursuing, beyond merely meeting a boy that she had fond memories of. But her desire to meet Ash, the catalyst for change, had lit a fire under her feet that sent her running in the right direction. When she finally met up with Ash, she became even more magnetized by his charisma, his ability to lead, and his love for the people around him. And over the course of their adventures together, her eyes were gradually opened to her own capabilities, not just by Ash, but also by friends like the aspiring Pokemon performer Shauna, who made Serena realize that, unlike her friends, she still didn't have her own goal. And moreover, Shauna inspired her to try her hand at Pokemon performing. And from there on out, with the proper guiding star on the horizon to lead her for the first time in her life, she began training hard, building a passion for her sport, and entered the Pokemon performer fray, with her sights set on becoming the Kalos Queen. Serena worked hard, won hard, and lost hard, living every day fully and growing together with her Pokemon and her friends. And while she didn't make it all the way to the Kalos Queen title on her first run, The course had been set, and at the conclusion of X, Y, and Z, she turned on the rocket fuel to blast off yet again. Not to ride Ash's coattails this time, but to blaze her own path to the future in Hoenn. The girl without a dream had found a dream and was doing everything she could to bend it into reality. And it was all thanks to Ash Ketchum, a catalyst in her life who sparked fireworks in her heart and set her on a trajectory bound for a life brimming with meaning and purpose. Like many in the Pokémon anime community, I really love Serena's story. I think this is because it is relatable to most people in a sense. Because finding a passion and a dream is just so important in life. Whether it is a passion that you pursue directly through your career or on the side as a hobby, this is very important, but it's not something that comes really easily to a lot of us. As such, when we consider Serena's escape from a life of monotony, there are at least 3 valuable takeaways to walk away with. Firstly, understanding the danger of accepting a life without meaning. As Viktor E. Frankl, the founder of logotherapy and a shining knight in the field of existential therapy, once said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." Truer words could not be said, and Serena's pre-adventure state of being is a representation of this kind of meaningless life in its early stages. She was living in comfort and had a course plotted out for her, but for her personal growth and long-term mental well-being, she desperately needed to make a change. How about you? Do you need to make a change? Speaking personally, years ago I had what many would consider a dream job in management consulting. But even though the work was fascinating, I was never able to derive a real sense of purpose from my work. And moreover, it felt like my zest for life was slowly being siphoned out as I struggled with that reality. The job was certainly meaningful in terms of its impact on other people and companies, but somehow as an individual I felt very unfulfilled. How many of you are or have been in a similar predicament? I'm guessing quite a few of you, especially those who have just completed a few years in the workforce, because while we spend the first quarter or so of our lives bouncing around in this artificial construct wherein meaning and purpose are tied to something as one-dimensional and fundamentally unimportant as A's, B's, and C's. Once we are out of runway, standing on our own 2 feet beyond the walls, looking at what is supposedly supposed to be the end game, for many people it is suddenly like, wait, I have no idea what I want to do in either my career or my personal life, and what's coming next looks either scary or really boring. And it's then that some folk jump back into a master's degree that they don't really need to literally buy themselves very expensive time, while others resign themselves to doing work that sucks their souls for 8 hours a day, and then potatoing into video games, anime, or TV shows for the rest of the day instead of trying to break free. A life without meaning or purpose is unbearable indeed, or at the very least, exhausting and empty feeling. And so it would seem that establishing meaning and purpose in your life as soon as possible is key for our long-term satisfaction. However, the truth is that meaning and purpose aren't something that just spring out of the ground like a bunch of diglets. Rather, they are something that you need to construct by yourself. There is nobody who is going to do it for you. So the question is, how do you go about putting yourself on the trajectory towards meaning and purpose before the runway runs out? You can't plan out your life. What you have to do is first discover your passion, what you really care about. These are very important words, not from Ash Ketchum or the Brock, but from former American President Barack Obama. However, they do leave an important piece of the puzzle on the table. How exactly do you find your passion? The set of activities and pursuits that form the building blocks for meaning and purpose in your life. I think the key lies in the aggressive pursuit of change catalysts. Because just like in the world of chemicals, for any kind of meaningful change to occur in our lives, there typically needs to be a powerful catalyst causing or accelerating that change. Consider Serena's transformation. She went from leading a relatively insipid life to living her dreams, all thanks to pursuing and harnessing the power of these catalysts. The first catalyst was Ketchum. He inspired Serena to break free from her mundane existence, and her choice to actually go out and find him completely shook up her life. Their time together opened her eyes to what it means to live a life full of meaning and purpose, and got her thinking about the possibilities for her own life. Running out the door to new horizons was the snowball that would roll into a boulder of change. The second catalyst was Shauna, who she met while adventuring with Ash. Their discussions introduced her to the appeal of Pokémon performances, showed her the importance of having goals and passions to pursue, led her to form the resolve to give the sport a shot herself, and we all know how things progressed from there. You can see how one catalyst led to the next, and before we knew it, Serena was well on her way to something much better than what she had left behind. And so, for those who are passionless, the key to finding a passion is this. Break out of your comfort zone, explore the world beyond the walls, and actually try new things that seem exciting to you. Because if you don't try them, you'll never know where they lead. And if you want to stay locked up in your room all day, feeling pity for yourself because you're doing a job you don't like, or you haven't met a good romantic partner, when you're not even out there trying new things and grinding to create possibilities and challenging yourself to make something worthwhile out of your life, well, that sense of emptiness and failure is on you and no one else. Sigmund Freud interpreted humans as tension-reducing organisms, beings that seek stability, safety, and constance over clashes with the unknown. That's probably why it's so difficult for so many people to pursue change catalysts and ride the waves of passion to the shores of self-fulfillment. But personally, I prefer to take a more humanistic perspective, to believe that people have an innate desire to reach their potential, but that they are not necessarily cognizant of that desire, or are simply unsure of how to act on it. So to anyone out there struggling to find a passion that will generate meaning or purpose in your life, while we don't all have Ketchum to inspire us to run out the door on a Pokemon adventure, here is another possible change catalyst path that you could take. Number 1, make a list of what gives you energy and what takes your energy. This should give you a pretty good idea of the pursuits that you should go after and the pursuits that you might be better off leaving alone. Second, bearing in mind what gives you energy and what makes you feel alive, do some research and make a short list of pursuits that you think you would have a passion for. Then consider taking a course on Udemy or Skillshare, or even via YouTube to develop the skills that you would need to excel in that pursuit. Lastly, set a goal, something concrete to shoot for with that pursuit. It will really help you focus and understand what it truly takes to travel down that road. And by the end of this, you should have a pretty good notion of whether or not you have found one of your true passions in life. Getting involved in new meetup groups, traveling or working abroad, reading and acting on good books are a few other catalysts that shake life up in a good way, but perhaps these are topics for another day. So just to sum that all up, the important thing to do if you want to get out of a rut is to aggressively chase down these change catalysts that will push you towards passion, meaning, and purpose, just like your girl, Serena. Because if you are trapped in the cycle of meaninglessness, doing the same things you don't care about day in, day out, never learning new things or pursuing new relationships, how could you possibly expect to create any positive change in your life? Well, good luck. Thirdly, putting in the legwork to turn passion into meaning and purpose. If Serena had simply dabbled a little bit in Pokemon performing, releasing her Pokevision video and participating in a competition or two, then simply gave up, she never would have developed her passion into anything worthwhile. That is to say that once you find a passion, it's not necessarily going to be a cakewalk nurturing it from a mere 5 o'clock shadow into a roaring manly beard. Like any sweet car worth building, there is going to be some serious hard work to be put under the hood. And Serena put in that hard work. She kept on grinding, and as she did, her passion only grew into something more powerful, filling her days with meaning and purpose, much as my room is slowly being filled with light that is shining on my face very awkwardly. I mean, it's easy to start something new that you enjoy via the catalyst change path I outlined above, but it's even easier to just give up after watching a few tutorials and relapse into perpetual mediocrity. Really, really easy. It's classic gym membership syndrome. But that kind of weak-willed laziness didn't get Serena, Ash Ketchum, or anyone else living up on the mountain to where they are today. Establishing a life of meaning and purpose necessitates not just passion, but consistent effort working at your pursuits over the long term. It's like growing big muscles. If you don't really push yourself, how do you expect to turn your bodybuilding passion into anything that gives you a sense of fulfillment? You'll just be skinny, unfulfilled Vinny forever. Similarly, because starting new things is so fun and easy, until you're knee-deep in the grind, you really have no idea if something is actually your calling. Furthermore, when you are grinding away at something, even if it is meaningful, it can be very easy to lose focus and give up if you don't have clear goals directing your passion forward. Serena's vision was to become the Kalos Queen, and with a clear overarching goal and clear milestones to achieve along the way, she was able to keep pushing that passion forward, improving at her craft and establishing the beginnings of a truly meaningful career for herself. As for me, one of my passions is creating videos, and I really want to grow the channel so that I can rationalize taking time away from other pursuits to do something that is very meaningful, fun, and puts a lot of purpose in my life. Something that I truly enjoy. And so earlier this year, I started to take that passion very seriously and made a clear plan. Back in March, when we hit 1,000 subscribers, I set the goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers by September. And next up is 100,000 by next August, which seems nearly impossible, but it really does mesh my passion for YouTube with a clear track upon which I can focus on self-improvement and amping up the meaning and purpose that YouTube brings into my life. But how about you? Did you find Serena smashing through the humdrum to reach the stars inspiring? Are you living a life of meaning and purpose? Do you have a passion? And if not, what change catalysts will you pursue and harness to blast off to the stars? And with 2021 on the horizon, what goals are you setting to drive forward a life of meaning and purpose in the new year? I'm curious what you think. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this Serena's backstory / life chat video. If you did, be sure to subscribe and check out the other Pokemon backstories, as they all follow a similar sort of structure. Don't forget to follow me over on Twitter. Until next time, I hope you all have a very healthy, happy, and safe week. And as always, let's chat.